Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to tell you today about South Korean presidential election that's coming up in May. And I'm endorsing An Cheol-Soo. Okay, we need to support An Cheol-Soo, and we need to get behind him, and let me explain why. Okay, all right. An Cheol-Soo, on the economic end, he understands that there needs to be reform in the chaebol in South Korea's major corporations. He understands that there's cronyism, but he also understands that the chaebol is vital to South Korea's economy. So he will reform the chaebol slowly but steadily to where South Korea has a strong economy, but at the same time, the smaller businesses have a more fair advantage, and the smaller businesses can thrive. He understands that the chaebol needs reforming, but we also need capitalism to thrive. Moon Jae-in is going to cut those chaebols with an axe, and that is going to be devastating to South Korea's economy, and the making a living problem is going to get a lot worse. What An Cheol-Soo will do is that he'll keep the economy strong, but also make the economy better. But at the same time, if people want to open up a small business or start a small business, that small business has a chance in thriving and expanding. Expanding a lot more than it did in previous years. So that's the first thing. Also, number two, Franklin Delano Roosevelt is his hero, and FDR, before World War II, he put a lot of hydroelectric dams in the rural areas in the South, and that got a lot of electricity and running water to areas that didn't have running water before. So Franklin Delano Roosevelt did that. It was part of his program, the New Deal. And An Cheol-Soo understands that. So he will take care of the people in the countryside. He's not going to let them starve. He's not going to let them just continue to be very, very poor. The New Deal also created a Works Progress Administration, where the Works Progress Administration built a lot of government buildings and a lot of projects, and that employed a lot of people in rural South as well. So An Cheol-Soo understands that. Also, here we go. All right, number three. He supports the right security policy with North Korea, okay? He supports the THAAD. The THAAD basically minimizes North Korea's nuclear threats. And the THAAD does not do anything to China other than monitor Chinese military movements. And China would not be moving its military and expanding it unless it posed a threat. So all the THAAD can do to China is monitor its military movements. It can't threaten China in any way, shape, or form. So he supports the THAAD. He also supports a strong alliance with the United States. And the United States is vital to South Korea's defense. You can't trust China because China attacked Korea in 1950. And in the earlier centuries, when China was allied with Korea against Japan, China treated South Korea as a second-class ally, and their soldiers highly mistreated South Koreans. And a lot of times their tourists still do. In Jeju Island, the people in Jeju do not want Chinese tourists, and Chinese tourists make up the bulk of tourists. The Chinese tourists don't throw away their trash. A lot of times they get in like senseless fights. They're very loud. They're very disrespectful. And that's going to be problematic with Moon Jae-in, because Moon Jae-in wants to be allied with China. Now, I'm not saying all Chinese tourists are like that. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying when you ally with the Chinese superpower versus the American superpower, those are more of the problems that you're going to get. And An Cheol-Soo understands that. Okay. Also, what An Cheol-Soo needs to do, he actually could beat Moon Jae-in head-to-head if it was just those two running. But the problem is there's two other candidates, and they're from two parties that split off from the Se-un-ri party, which is now called the Liberty Party of Korea. And then there's another one called the Bae-un Party. The Bae-un were ex-Se-un-ri members who supported Park's impeachment, and then the Liberty Party of Korea opposed it. But what An Cheol-Soo needs to do is he needs to encourage them to drop out, and I think they should drop out. They need to drop out. If they drop out, then An Cheol-Soo can get the presidency, and I believe that An Cheol-Soo will put these guys in government jobs, but they will be lower level government jobs to where they do not have the too much of a say-so, but have enough position where An Cheol-Soo can get a lot of Liberty Party of Korea and Bae-un members to vote for him and not just refuse to vote. Because I thought President Park Geun-hye should have been impeached because she broke the law. But at the same time, the supporters, we really need, they need to rally behind Ahn Cheol-Soo, or they're going to get an incompetent leader in Moon Jae-in. Park Geun-hye was a competent leader, and she did a lot of good things. She just broke the law, and she needs to pay the consequences as she is, because South Korea is a democratic nation. So we cannot go back to the Sunshine Policy, which is what Moon Jae-in wants to do. Let me explain why. Okay, North Korea tested a lot of their nuclear missiles during the Sunshine Policy. 2006 and 2009, they had a nuclear test. Also, North Korea was on the verge of having a very weak military and a very weak government until Kim Dae-jung propped up North Korea with the Sunshine Policy. That's testimony coming from Kang Chol-won. And they were not going to pose much of a threat at all until the Sunshine Policy revived a lot of North Korea, because the first place where the food went was not to the starving people in the North Korean countryside. The first place it went to was the military. And the Kim Dae-jung and Roh Moo-hyun administrations did not monitor where the food was going. A lot of North Korean defectors who defected during the Sunshine Policy or after the Sunshine Policy, they testify and say, we did not see any of the food aid. We just did not see it. And also, Moon Jae-in refuses to condemn North Korea on human rights, but he will condemn South Korea on human rights. But North Korea's human rights policy is way, way worse. And he asked North Korea about how he should vote on the human rights situation. And he refused to vote when he was South Korea's representative to the UN. He refused to condemn North Korea on the human rights, didn't vote for any human rights acts against North Korea, and that is not going to be conducive, because there were 2 naval clashes also in the West Sea during the Sunshine Policy. So the Sunshine Policy does not make South Korea safer. Okay, I mean, it doesn't. And North Korea demands a lot of money for the summits in North Korea, and there's not any summits in South Korea. So basically for North Korea, it was a moonshine policy because North Korea mooched off South Korea's money. So Ahn Cheol-Soo condemns the Sunshine Policy. He supports a hardline act against North Korea, but at the same time, he says he's open to negotiations, but it's not one-sided negotiations. It's negotiations of the aggressive sense where both sides can get what they want, or a little bit of what they want. So he's not going to back down from North Korea, even though he's willing to negotiate with them. And I think his economic policies, the rich may get richer, but like at the same time, the poor and the middle class are going to get richer too, because the economy is going to prosper, because he's not going to leave the poor and the middle class behind. So anyways, hope everybody's doing well. Take care. God bless, and bye-bye. Bye-bye.